they're attributes of the Creator that you can activate within you. Like, I am the medicine, I am the protector, I am the light, I am the path, I am life, I am... Who said that?
Jesus.
Yes. He was trying to embody every one of the names of God. He was not saying that he was the only one. He was saying that that's the only way you can embody God.
Yeah.
When you realize, I am light, Uriel, I am the power, Gabriel, and so on.
What would you know if you could remember all of your past lives and everything in between? Well, you'd probably know a lot about the universe, about our world. But of course, that's not possible for us. Except, perhaps, there's an individual, or maybe several individuals, who have access to that information. Now, when I heard about Mattias De Stefano, who makes that claim, I was skeptical. I don't believe that that's possible. But then I started listening to what he had to say about our 9-dimensional existence, and it correlated with everything that I have figured out through my own 22 years of psychedelic and plant medicine explorations. And then after spending 2 days with him, podcasting with him, not only is what he's saying resonating deeply with my own truth meter, it's also how he's saying it. He just comes across with that radical authenticity and humor and candor that really makes me question, wow, maybe what he's saying really is exactly like it is. So I invite you guys to come to this podcast with an open mind and see for yourself. See if what he's saying makes sense to you. I can't wait to share this episode with Mattias De Stefano. Mattias, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So I always default to things a little bit skeptical. You know, I'm open-minded, but I'm always skeptical because I've seen a lot of people who pretend they have access to a lot of information. They claim to be a certain thing, and I listen to what they say, and it doesn't sound quite right. But every once in a while, there's someone who what they say just resonates, and I feel it as truth in my body, like if someone was playing a guitar that was in tune and it just sounds right. And when you described the 9-dimensional cosmology, it mirrored everything that I felt in my bones. What you were saying made sense. And I was like, all right, maybe this guy Mattias is telling the truth. Maybe he really does remember his past lives. So tell us about that. When did you first realize that you could remember existences beyond this current one as Mattias De Stefano?
Well, what you say about the dimensions, there are many ways of explaining things. I used to say that I don't have the truth. I have seen one slice of it, and I share it. And no one really has the complete truth. It's impossible. This is a puzzle. And
well, because only everyone and everything can have the complete truth. That's
exactly.
That's the reason for the whole thing. All the different perspectives, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why we need to share them so we can complete the puzzle. The thing is, well, I was also born in a family that it was skeptical, no religion at all, nothing, all atheists, no spirituality, nothing. So for me, for my family, for my environment, it was always me being very creative, very imaginative. I was telling these stories that I remember from other times, from other dimensions, from other places, but I didn't call it dimensions or lives, or I just was telling what I knew. And for them was like, oh, so interesting. And
just a really creative boy.
Yes, that was it. So in my family, no one ever told me, shut up, don't say these things, or don't share that, because there was no cultural background to tell what was wrong.
So it's almost better that your family wasn't religious or Catholic, because they would have probably tried to smash what was happening. And
so when I started to explain, to share what I had, was natural for me to tell to my mom, also to my companions in class at school. There was a teacher that saw the aura, so I was talking to her all the time. So it was not a complicated thing for me to accept. Really, what I felt was that was normal, that everyone was like this, but nobody could remember that they were like that.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, I understood that I was different, but not because I was special, but because I just had the environment that allowed me to keep that alive.
I don't know, man. I had the environment that would have allowed me to keep that alive. I can't remember any past lives. It's why do you think and why do you think you had the access? It seems like that's part of the agreement. Part of the agreement is we forget so that we can remember. But you were like, nah, I'm not signing that agreement. I'm coming in and I'm remembering. And I think that's important because we need this information. But, but why you?
I guess that this is something we usually put a very heavy weight in a cultural aspect and religious aspect regarding if someone makes us forget or if we should remember or something like that. And my guides, my inner self, usually try to tell me reality is much more easier, and the best way to understand the universe is to know how biology works. So if you go to your body, you will understand what is happening in the entire cosmos. It's almost the same. So,
like what Rumi said, we are not a drop in the ocean, we are the ocean in a drop.
Yeah.
So if you want to know the ocean, look at your drop.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you look in yourself, you will see that you are made by many cells, thousands of cells,
trillions of cells,
trillions, and each one of them is specified in specific actions. So there are specific neurons dedicated to memory, and there are specific neurons dedicated to the heartbeat. And also cells. So cells, neurons, everything inside the body is specified in different stuff. What would happen if every cell, once they say, we want to be like the heart, so you die. You don't exist anymore. So we need to be different. Some of us need to remember, is in our nature. And for others, their nature is not to remember, so they can work in what they are doing, in their organs.
So what you're saying is you're looking at all of life as one organism, and the specialization of the cells, just like we have in our body. Some cells in this organism of the universe are designed to remember, and some are designed not to remember. And that's how it all works.
But we all have memory.
Right.
That's for sure, because the cell regeneration, the cells know what to do. They know the path. They know inside the inner truth, because we all come from the same cell, the mother cell. So all the cells has the entire information, but they know how to activate a specific information. Otherwise, the organ will die. So that's why not all of us can remember, just some. But the thing is that there are many that remember. There are thousands. It's not me. There are thousands of neurons dedicated to memory.
So tell us about specifically, when did you start realizing and remembering specific lives? You started to have an understanding like, okay, I lived here in Chem, or I lived here in this place. Tell us about some of these existences that you started to remember yourself existing in.
The first time that I started to remember was when I was 11, 12 years old. I don't know exactly, but I was in school in Argentina. And the teacher gave us a paper with ancient civilizations, 3000 BC and so on, origin of Egypt and that. And so I was looking at it and I started to have a headache, and I couldn't see the pyramids as it was in the picture. I saw it in a very different way. I couldn't see the Sphinx as it was. I saw everything completely different. And I was standing at it, observing that in the body of a woman. And besides me was my partner, and I was worried about something. So that was my first memory. And
almost like a flashback experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like that flashback and very heavy headache. So it started like that, and all was emotions. Sometimes people think that I started to remember ancient civilizations. No, I remember my son, my husband, my mother, my grandmother, my family, my friends, and through them I could understand the environment.
Right.
So it was not that I was just remembering data, I was remembering emotions. The first thing that I remember was emotions. And through the emotions I could understand the culture, the language, everything that was happening there. And since I was 12 years old, I started to live like parallel lives, like this life here and the other one that I was remembering like every day, like if it was alive, like
Wow.
if I was living that life in parallel. But sometimes I remember when I was a child, sometimes when I was an adult. And suddenly some flashes came from other ages, from other times that I couldn't really understand or explain. Norway, 900 years ago, or suddenly other planet in other completely different system. And it started to be worse and worse. I say worse because I couldn't focus in this reality. I couldn't keep going with my studies normally. Sometimes I was forgetting who was my mom, her name, because if I knew so many others. So it was really confusing and chaotic. And that was the first life, which was in Chem, now called Egypt. And after that, when I was 16 years old.
And what time period was Chem?
Chem was around 12,000 years ago.
Before the flood, after the flood?
It was in the middle, because it was an Atlantean colony before the flood. And then it became a country by itself after the flood.
Yeah.
Because when I was 12 years old, in that time, in that life, my dad died, and I was in charge of his work, basically with 12 years old. So that's why I was so worried, because I was only 12 and I was in charge of a village completely. And all that situation there was like pushing me to understand the whole civilization, the whole thing. And the main thing that happened for me here is that at 12 years old, I see the image of the same thing that I saw when I was 12 years old, worried. So it's like a memory cell of something that tells me this is the story you need to remember. This is the story that will help you to understand what is happening now. Also because in time, 12,000 years ago and now, today, is a straight line in time. So it's easier to connect with that timeline to know what is happening now, because it's the mirror time of what happened 12,000 years ago. So also because of that, I had to remember that moment, or I was able to remember that.
Yeah. When we're about to dive into the 9 dimensions, when you as your understanding of the 9 dimensions is that largely from this life that you had in Chem and in the teachings and the understandings you had there, or is it pulled from many of your other different lives?
Well, it was like this. When we were in Chem, we were taught about all this, but in a very different way, because it has a very cultural and religious point of view. So the 9 dimensions were called the 9 tiers of Mahas. That was the main god, and the way in which they were spread was through sound and music, and the explanations were very human. But when I started to remember all this, for me was like, I had no idea what is happening. I had no idea what is all this information about. And when I was 16 years old in this life, I was so lost, so scared, that suddenly I start to feel my higher self coming inside the room, and everything started to change, and he said his name, his vibration, and touched my third eye. And in that moment, I could feel the dimensions, like everything, and expanding everywhere. And in that moment, beyond time, beyond lives, beyond experiences in my past lives,
you just had the truth.
I could connect that, and it was the network. It was like connecting the dots. So I could.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily from a memory of a particular existence. It was your higher self downloading basically this information to you, giving you access to it. When you say the higher self, what does that mean to you? And we'll probably land there in our nine-dimensional map. But to you, what is the higher self? What is that?
Well, to put it in a human word, religious people say God, and science people say the sun. Both of them is the same thing, but both of them is only one thing that shines. So this shiny thing has many rays of light that goes everywhere. So every ray of light is what we call higher self, which is a high expression of the divine, but in different perspectives. So it's like the rays of the sun. Then the rays of the sun, they are made up with information, which are the photons, the particles of light. So that's what we could call the souls. The souls are the ones that brings information from one place to another, going through everything. So photons. And then when it finds crystals, like water, like some carbon or something like this, the ray of light divides itself in different harmonies, in different frequencies. So you can see the rainbow. So the rainbow is like different lives, like different aspects of the self. For example, me, Mattias, is one of them, one of those colors.
One frequency, one color.
Exactly. So I am one of those colors, but I have 11 more than me, because it's 12 colors actually. So there are 11 people that are part of my higher self, which is one ray of light from the sun, which is God. So if you multiply that for every ray of the sun, you have millions of higher selves that express themselves in different personalities or frequencies that we call me or you.
Yeah.
So what we are is basically a distortion projected from the light. Distorted projection from the light. And that's the higher self.
You say, I mean, we have some connotations around distorted. It doesn't mean bad. Distorted doesn't mean wrong. It means just
a rainbow is beautiful.
Yeah, a way in which some obstruction, the light hits it, and then it, like a prism almost.
Exactly.
You know, that actually creates
we usually call darkness to the things that distort, because darkness is like the structure that allows the light to be different. So the light goes straight, and some heavy structure divides it in different parts that creates what we see.
Yeah.
So the distortion is usually seen like something bad, like darkness, but actually is part of the light, is a part of the system that allows the pure light to understand itself in different levels.
Yeah. So to get this clear so far, you are a particular frequency or a particular spectrum that has been projected after it's been, splashed into some density, which creates this distortion, this projection. Yeah. But you're also the photon, which is the messenger that actually comes and splashes into the prism to create that. The ray of light that's coming from the source, or God, or the sun. And so this is how we're ourselves, and then also a higher self, and then also God as well, because we're all connected to the same Son. We are the Godhead and also physical body. You know, I'm Aubrey, you're Mattias. We're both of those things at the same time. So this is a great segue to now explain where all of these things, like through the 9-dimensional map, because that was really helpful. Where would you like to start? Would you like to start with the 9th and go back down, or would you want to start with the 1st and go up?
Well, it's easier to start, I guess, from the one we know, which is the 3rd. The first thing as a concept that we have to understand about dimension is that dimension means 2 measurements, 2 measures. That's the word dimensions. D from Latin, 2. And mention, which is measure in Latin. So this means 2 ways of measure one thing. That's a dimension. Meaning that only one thing split in 2. So now you have 2 points of view of the same thing. Every dimension is not separate from the other, but it's a different measurement of only one thing. So we usually say this is the 3rd dimension, and there is a 4th dimension, and there is a 5th dimension. So we have to leave the 3rd dimension in order to leave the 4th or the 5th. But it's not like that. It doesn't work like that. The 3rd dimension is not a different thing from the other dimensions. The 3rd dimension is basically a dimension where everything has 3 points of view. We have high, depth, and wide. That's 3. And high, wide, and deep are called like this in space. And in time, we call it past, present, and future. So only in the 3rd dimension exists the concept of past, present, and future. Only in the 3rd dimension exists the concept of high, wide, and depth. Because we are 3. We have 3 points of view. But when you add a fourth vision of that, you have eternity, because there is a 4th line that connects past, present, and future.
Timelessness.
Exactly. That's the 4th dimension. So it's very difficult to understand the 4th dimension from the 3rd dimension. The only way is a dream. When you dream, things happen without time, without space. Sometimes you just turn around and you are in a different country, in a different place, and in a different time, with a different body. So the 4th dimension is like that all the time. It's like if you are dreaming. So when you dream, you are living the 4th dimension. Your mind is prepared to understand the 4th dimension, but we are not designed right now to live it.
All right, so let me explain an experience I had, and let's see if this resonates with what you would call the 4th dimension. So I was at Burning Man, and at Burning Man I do a lot of psychedelics, I do a lot of party and have fun. This night was my night off, and I was actually near Vailana, my wife. In that moment, I felt my consciousness travel to a place where it was like I was in the black. It was in like the black, almost like the void. But anything that I wanted to come to me would just come to me.
Oh, yeah.
If I wanted to be in a place, the place was there. If I wanted to talk to someone, that person was there. It was like I was in this quantum reality. That's how I would describe it, where the moment that I thought of something, that thing was with me. And everything was accessible in this one place. And it felt like a place that I would go maybe when I died. Like I didn't understand. So is that what an experience of the 4th dimension, where you can call visions and experiences that would be like in the 3rd dimension, but I could just bring them to me instantly in that place?
If you felt free on calling them, you were connected through the 4th dimension to the 8th dimension.
Cool.
Yeah. But if you are not free to control that, you are just in the 4th dimension. Because the 4th dimension is controlled by the 3rd dimension. And the 8th is not.
I was free.
Yeah. So that connects you to any link of information in the 8th dimension. In the 8th dimension, you can understand anything because just by thinking about it is there. But you can understand the point of view of yourself, but also the point of view of a fly. So these different points of view are all in the 8th dimension, which tells you everything is true. Every point of view that you could have is true. So it's the free way to understand the 4th dimension. Usually people wants to go, I don't know why, everyone wants to go to the 5th one.
Yeah, it's good marketing for the
yeah,
fifth
it's a
one.
good marketing
It's like
for
Austin,
the 5th dimension.
You know? It's pretty cool, but it's got great marketing.
So the thing is that everyone wants to go there somehow, I don't know, but the 5th dimension is the expansion of light or awareness of the 3rd and the 4th. So you cannot be in the 5th dimension if you don't enjoy the other two.
Right.
So it's impossible because it's the full awareness of the other two.
A lot of people try to escape the 3rd because they don't enjoy it and go to the 5th. But what you're saying is that doesn't work.
You cannot be in the 5th dimension if you don't enjoy the 3rd. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to say. But that's how it works because the 5th dimension is the awareness of every vibration and light of your molecules in this body. So if you don't feel your body completely aware, you will not feel the awareness of the 5th dimension. That's why enlightenment is not going to the sky, is to shine. That's ascension is another thing, is another completely thing. So to go to the 5th dimension, you have to shine from the 3rd and to understand every possibility that you have in the 4th. So when you are in the 4th dimension, for the 4th dimension, you are not anymore your body here and now. You are the first cell, you are a reptile from millions of years ago, you were a fish, you were a dinosaur, you were...
I was a triceratops for sure.
Okay, good. I love triceratops.
Yeah, me too. They're my favorite too.
Yeah.
See?
So
I knew
maybe we were in the same family.
Yeah, for sure. In the same herd.
So the thing is that you were many things, and your water was in many trees through thousands of years, were in rivers, in the ocean, and then they end up being your blood, every drop of water. So you were so many things that in the 4th dimension, you can access to the data that your cells had about all that. All your evolution through millions of years is encoded there in this body. So in the 4th dimension, you can feel it. You can be that because there's no past, present, and future that you have to follow. You can go through all of them at the same time. There's no need to go up or down or make any effort in the 4th dimension because going down, going up is the same because there's no high, depth, and wide.
Yeah, there's no time.
And no space. So what happened in the 5th dimension is when you locate yourself in the core of all that, see around and say, oh, this is all me. So I can feel, be, and become aware of all that. That's why the 5th dimension is called the dimension of the masters. That feeling is what you have in the 5th dimension once you accomplish to understand, fully understand and enjoy the 4th and the 3rd. And it's not about leaving this world. It's not about ascending. It's not about living this matrix. It's about becoming the matrix, becoming this world, becoming this creation. And I have to say, it's amazing, but it's boring. That's why we live in the 3rd one.
Yeah.
So it's good when you go there.
Yeah.
Because this was it. Now let's go back. I want another round.
I get it.
That's why we reincarnate all the time. We are constantly in the same system, and there's a lot of people that usually think that it's because we are trapped, And we are trapped because you feel that you are trapped. If you just decide to come back because you enjoy it, you are not trapped. You are creating all the time different things. So
there's all these beliefs that are in our culture about, like you said, like we're trapped and we're trapped by our karma, and we're going to have to keep reincarnating until we learn the lessons. And we're trying to ascend, and this is our goal. And it's very much there's judgment in all of those different ways in which that this isn't perfect, that we're trying to get to a better place. We'll be a better person if we get to that better place. We'll be better if we get to the fifth dimension. But all of that is actually what prevents you from getting to that consciousness in the first place, is making all of these judgments about where you are. This actually might segue a bit to the sixth dimension, because the sixth dimension is where we get some of the delusion and some of the shadow that actually allows us to learn to see the perspective comes through. So why don't we go into that, explaining the sixth dimension?
The sixth dimension is the creator itself as creator, acting as a creator. The sixth dimension is the one that takes all the ideas, all the feelings, everything, and starts to manifest a different thing from it. It's like manufacture. When you take the main material from, I don't know, a rock, the sixth dimension would be the guy sculpting the rock to make a shape, sculpture. Takes the light, and in the sixth dimension turns it into a rainbow, which means also takes a being and divides it into different beings. Takes a body and divides it into different organs. So takes a triangle and divides it in fractals, so you have a sphere. Which means that is the creator and also the one that distorts. If we could use very human religious words, is the dimension where the archangels exist, and they are working in the light and in the darkness at the same time. We are a distorted image of an archangel. We are a distorted image of a cell. Without distortion, we wouldn't exist. So it's because of the sixth dimension and its way of distortion of the main truth that you can see the universe and enjoy the reality.
So a great ayahuasca shaman, Maestro Alberto, who taught Maestro Hamilton, explained to me that the demons, all demons, were simply delusion. That's all demons were. They were delusion. They were the way that they fogged your sense, clogged your mind, and didn't allow you to see the light or the truth. So in this sixth dimension, there's the archangels working in the light, and maybe is it the same archangels that are that you would call the demons that are working to distort?
No,
and
the demons are in the fourth dimension.
The demons are in the fourth dimension.
The demons are equally lost like we are.
So the demons don't know. The demons don't know what they're doing. So they're doing their job without
they're like
knowing.
dogs taking care of a house.
Yeah.
Sorry for the demons.
But in the sixth dimension, it's all the archangels. They all know. They all know exactly what they're doing. But the fourth dimension are beings that don't know what they're doing. They're lost, and they're contributing to us being lost because they're lost, and they think that they're doing the right thing, but they don't know.
Yeah, if we describe this as a house, as I said, the archangel would be like the lord of the house, the one that is the owner of the house and decides how to build the house, is the architect. Then has the housekeeping. Housekeeping is from the fifth dimension. Is the lady or the man that knows where everything is, that knows how to take care and clean everything. So, and is the one that advises, we would need to change this to this so it worked better. So that would be the fifth dimension. Then you have the fourth dimension, which is the dogs that takes care, the cats that eat the mice. So
or rip up a couch. Whatever.
So dogs and cats in a house, they act by feeling, and sometimes they do bad things but not because they want to do bad things, but because they think that what they are doing is okay. So that's how demons act. Like, oh, look, that's a shitty people, so let's put some shit there. So
they're acting with resonance with.
Exactly.
They're finding resonance with, and that's, I think, an important thing that people get very afraid in the spiritual work. They get very afraid of the demons, very afraid of these dark energies.
Yeah.
But the dark energies they're not gonna bother you if you don't have resonance with their energy. It's like they're not gonna possess you like in a movie. Like you're all of a sudden you're this really, pure, good person, pure being, and all of a sudden a demon, possesses you.
Look, the universe is all about frequencies. So imagine that every reality and every being is like a radio station. So you can tune yourself in the frequency that you want to hear. If you don't like some messages of someone that is constantly talking about bad things, so you just change the radio, and that's it. So, but in order to do that, you have to tune yourself into a new frequency, so you can hear new messages. But if you are always listening to the same radio station and you complain about what you hear, so demons are going to control your life because you are allowing them to control your life. Demons are not bad people. They are just doing what they are supposed to do, which is distort.
Entities. Yeah.
They are distorting everything, and their job is to distort light so we can have things.
Yeah, delusion.
Exactly. If you are in the path of putting the things together, demons will be against you, but not against you because you're in the opposite side, but because you have something that they are supposed to divide. It's like telling the DNA inside of your cells, I'm going to the unity, don't divide. It's impossible because they are meant to divide. So the demons are doing that. They create division because they were made to do so. They were meant to do that mission. So when someone starts to unify things, for the demons it's like, hey, what are you doing? You are ruining my job. They won't agree because they don't understand. So, and
that tension is part of creation, right? It's just part of everything.
Yeah, of course. There's no... the earth wouldn't spin if there is no polarity.
Yeah.
So this polarity of division and unity must exist in order to create life. There's no life without division. So the job that they have is to divide. As for the people that works in the consciousness, is to unify.
Yeah.
And when I understood that, when I remembered that, I just start to thank every demon for what they were doing. And suddenly they stop fighting, because I say, I will keep doing this here, unifying these things, but thank you for all your job of dividing it, because now I know what I have to unite.
I have had so many experiences of this, and fortunately I've had good teachers who help point me in this way. Again, Maestro Alberto, Maestro Hamilton said, like, you don't fight the demons, like you love the demons, and thank them, and that, and because otherwise you'll fight them perpetually. Like you'll never win that fight. That's what they're built for.
Yeah.
They got all the time. They're in the timeless dimension. They got all the time in the world.
Yeah. Eternity. They can bother you for eternity.
All right, so we're in the sixth dimension, the architects of reality.
Yeah.
The archangels. When we talk about the archangels, we talk about Michael and Raphael. Are we close? Are we close to like identifying them? Are some of the things that are in our culture like kind of right?
Well, the thing is that we put a lot of Christianism upon them. This is a very old story from the Heifer people that was not even for Catholics, and they took it from the Jew people. Archangel means the powerful messenger. That's what it means. So what they are really are different attributes of God, of the unity. So you have, for example, the light of God. It's an attribute. The ancient Hebrew, you would say Ur, light, El, of God. Uriel. So the protector of God, Michael. So the names Michael. So the names of the archangels, like the medicine of God, Raphael, are aspects. They are not people. They are not people with wings.
Right.
They are attributes or aspects that emerge from the unity. And so the medicine of God, the light of God, the power of God, the protector of God, and so on, are all these different concepts that show so many attributes of the unity. So these beings are actually creating with their power the frequencies, the messengers, the frequencies that creates everything. So their sound, their vibration are molding the entire creation. But it's not that there are people with wings that we call archangels. There are attributes of the Creator that you can activate within you. Like, I am the medicine, I am the protector, I am the light, I am the path, I am life, I am... Who said that?
Jesus.
Yes. He was trying to embody every one of the names of God. He was not saying that he was the only one. He was saying that that's the only way you can embody God.
Yeah.
When you realize, I am light, Uriel, I am the power, Gabriel, and so on. So the archangels are not beings from outside. We are within them. The seventh dimension that we didn't mention is the enlightenment. But in the enlightenment, there are beings of darkness too. Samael, for example. Samael is one of the attributes of God that from the seventh dimension loaded all the information of the enlightenment to the sixth dimension, and was the first attribute of the universe creating by itself in a separate way. That's what we call Satan. It was Samael. And this being was one of the attributes of the divine that was called the most beautiful light, or the one that carries the light with him. Lucifer. Lucus Ferus, who takes the light. What happened? That this being was the first architect, the first one that said, I can design something different from what we have done till now. And he created the sixth dimension that projected in the third dimension. So was the one that enables the life, basically. So what happened? Every being from the seventh dimension that said we have to create followed the path of darkness to create. But those who arrived to the creation and said, oh, but we were the creators, follow the path of enlightenment to the seventh dimension again. And that idea is like a torus, is the shape of a torus. But that idea creates the concept that both paths were against each other. And actually, one was opening the path for the others. And for the others not to get lost, they create the path again, going back to the center. So, talking about dimensions, even these beings that in religion they were the bad ones, it's just one side of the story.
So explain the role of the beings of the seventh dimension, and then the roles particularly of the being that's called Satan. I don't think I fully understand it. Because he said basically, and we say he, but it's obviously not a
No,
person.
it's it.
Yeah. It says basically, I know that I can create something, but I need to use the darkness to do it, and I need to somehow separate myself from the everything in order to do this. What was going on?
How the solar system was created. It was not because a fairy came and they like this with magic. It was a big explosion. The sun exploded, like divided itself and created chaos, destruction all around, and all the rocks, the parts that remain without light, became planets. So they cannot shine anymore. They are not light, but they were part of the light. Earth was part of the sun.
Yeah, they were energy that turned into matter.
Yeah.
Waves that turned into particles.
And so much energy in the sun created an explosion that allowed the planets to exist. So it is because of that destruction and division that life on Earth exists. But not only because the sun and its explosion, also because of the gravity of Jupiter. Without Jupiter, life wouldn't be possible here because we would have been consumed by asteroids. All that system is the one that was created by the darkness, because it was destruction, division, and turning matter that was shining into rocks that doesn't shine.
Right. And you're just using our galaxy as an example of the whole universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. No. So when I say seventh dimension, imagine that the seventh dimension is like the sun, like this bright being that is completely shining and fully aware of the divinity that it is, and that within itself has the power, the light, the life, everything inside. But some part of it says, how can I be all this if I cannot experience all this? So a part of yourself decides to open your eyes and say, I will leave what I have within. And that's the explosion.
I will get lost so I can find myself.
Creation of the sixth dimension. So it divides the power, the light, everything in different messages, frequencies that we call archangels. The archangels become the architects of reality, creating awareness, the fifth dimension, awareness of what it is, that everything is eternal and that you can mold eternity into different pieces, which brings us to the third dimension, the pieces of time, past, present, future, pieces of space, wide, high, depth. And all that, the only way to create is by duality, second dimension. So you need polarity in order to move time and space, because if they don't spin, they don't create life. They need movement, love. So this movement will create that. So second dimension is the movement of polarity, which brings us all to the first dimension, which is the unity experiencing itself. But the only way to arrive to the third dimension is through the ninth dimension, which is God, is the one that is not only in the center, is holding everything and understanding everything. It's like you with your body being fully aware of the work of every one of your organs, of every one of your cells, of how your DNA works. Is like if you become fully aware of everything that makes you be who you are. That's the ninth dimension, or God.
What's the I mean, I have a lot of, we're gonna have to dive in here because I don't fully understand it entirely. So first, I mean, one question I have is, what is, it seems like the first and the ninth dimension are very similar, just a different expression of the same singular being, or God, right? So what is the fundamental difference?
So one is like the core, is like the center that cannot see everything, but can feel everything. It's the one that says, I am.
I am.
And the unity, the first dimension says, I am, is the only thing that understands, I am. And the ninth dimension is the one that knows I am, but can see what I am. I am this organ, I am this organ. This organ is connected to this organ. This time and this line time is this and that, and it can understand the whole. So they touch each other because they are almost the same. So, but one is fully aware of everything that it is, and the other one just it is.
Yeah.
So in between that idea is how everything emerges. So everything emerges from the first dimension, of course, because I am. So in this I am has a dream, and the dream of the I am is in the 8th dimension, which is everything is possible, everything is there. The great dream where all the timelines, everything could exist there. So the I am in the first dimension, when it sees the dream of the 8th dimension that everything is possible, goes to the 7th dimension.
So it goes from 1st to 8th and then down to 7th.
Because it's all the same. It's not like linear.
Right.
Yeah.
So it has the dream of, whoa, opens its eyes in a way, like you said, and says, this is all of the possibilities that I am can be expressed. Every possibility on every timeline.
Yeah, the easy image is like you have one dot, which is the I am, and then it creates the infinite, which is the 8. So you see the 8, you see how from the 1 you can go to the 8th dimension. So it's like infinite. Everything is there, everything is possible, 8th dimension. So then you say, oh, I am this dream. I can feel that dream, that everything is possible. And you become the 7th dimension. 7th dimension is when you not only perceive and see, but you feel. You feel what you are able to be in the 7th dimension. That's why is the dimension of enlightenment, is where you irradiate everything that you are.
Is this, you used the word seraphims, is this the realm of the seraphims?
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so explain, now this is the part that I wanted to get back to, because I still don't exactly understand how religion has twisted the understanding of Satan as a seraphim, I guess, right?
Yeah.
The fallen angel he's called.
Yeah.
The seraphim.
Well, that will take us to religion. Yeah.
Yeah, but so, just like understand. I know religion. You know, has its own thing.
I will reach there when we are in the 3rd dimension.
Yeah.
So the 7th dimension. Oh, I feel it. I am that. Wow, incredible. But what can I do with this? 6th dimension. Oh, I can create. I can do stuff. And when you do stuff, you learn. So you become aware of what you've done. 5th dimension is like, oh, now I get it. I understand everything. And I know that I can do this forever. 4th dimension. I can change and create these things and these shapes forever. But where can I experience? Because I'm not experiencing what I can create. So 3rd dimension. The 3rd dimension is, okay, I will get inside the system that I create. I will become that in order to exist. But the only way to do it is to separate my parts, because I am so huge that I cannot experience all together. I have to divide myself in many. So the only way I can do it is through polarity. And because of this polarity, 2nd dimension, is that I can create a 3rd one, 1st dimension again. And once I created something new from all that path, I become fully aware in the 9th dimension that I am God. So that whole system of the dimensions is how you see the universe in that perspective. So what happened? So all the parts that you have created, now they become real. They manifest, and they will live in a certain time, in a certain space. What makes that? That everything that before was part of one thing, now is divided in different things. So you can tell the difference between this and that. But you cannot remember that they were the same thing. So this hand here, the right hand, will fight against the left hand all the time, because they say, I know you look like the same, but you are the opposite to me. So that shouldn't be good, because what is good is what is similar to me. So that's the mentality of the herd.
Right. It's what we see now in our culture.
Exactly. So you take one story, which is the sun, and you say, okay, there is the sun. Everyone can see the sun. North Pole, South Pole, Ecuador, everywhere in the planet you can see the sun. But it's not the same to see the sun from the desert in Arabia than to see it in the rainforest of the Amazon. The sun will be very different. The shapes of the sun, the heat of the sun is different. So in the Amazon, the sun is not related to something that makes you suffer. In Arabia, it is. You see the difference?
Yep.
So it creates a tradition that the Lord can
Make you suffer.
make you suffer if you don't do right. In the Amazon, the Lord would never make you suffer because it makes grow the plants.
Yeah.
It gives food.
Yeah.
So it's a willing and giving and all that. So why would God wants me to get hurt if it's giving me everything? But in the desert, in Sahara and Arabia desert, it will hurt you, because if you don't take care of what the people say, with the water, with people, if you don't take care of your animals, if you don't follow any rules, you will die in the desert. The sun will kill you. So God will kill you if you don't follow the laws. So all the Semitic people now call Islam, Jewish, and Christians. They were all Semitic. They was the same people that lived in the desert. So all of them had this knowledge that the sun can hurt you if you don't follow the rules. So they create statements of culture, of all that, and how every archangel can be good or bad according to how you behave.
Right.
And that's how you form a religion that unifies villages. And they create one Semitic village called the Jew, one Semitic village called the Islam, one Semitic village called the Christians. It was not exactly like that, but I'm making a summary of that. And the most ancient one, the Jews, they said, we understood first what it means, the power of the universe, and we know that the word is the one that does this. So the word, the vibration, is the one that changed life, and that connects you to the divine. So they use the Kabbalah, the word, the letters, to work with the powers of God, so the archangels. The other ones, Islam, said, no, God doesn't have any word. God is geometry. So the only way you can understand God is through mathematics and geometry.
Which is why you see in the mosques there's such beautiful fractal
geometry. So no words, no images of anyone, because for them, the powers of God are geometry. For the Islam, it's not an archangel as a person, is a concept of a divine. And then we have the Christians, which is a different story that came from, not Islam, that came from the Semitic people. They took the information from all the different villages, mainly from the Jews. They took all the ancient traditions, but without the deeper understanding and meaning of what they really came from. So they took the ideas of this because Jesus was Jew, so they took the images, the ideas of the past from that tradition, but the people that start to follow the Christianism was not really students of the ancient text. They were just followers of someone new with an old tradition. So that's why there is a cut because there is something very different in between the Jews and the Christians. The Jews doubt. Not the Jews, the ancient Jews, the ancient tradition, Kabbalah, Sefirot, is about the question. What do you think is God? I don't know. What do you think? It's all about questions, questioning. Question to find the answers. And when you find the answer, ask another question. The Christians, not. Christians is, this is the truth, don't talk anymore. Archangels are angels that one of them fell down. Why? No, you should not question them. And that's how, for 2,000 years, many religions in Christianity, like Catholic, Protestant, and many others, were based in ancient old stories that no one never explained them because they said, you should not ask. This is God's word.
Right. And now here I am, blasphemer as I am, asking.
Sorry, I was not raised as a Christian.
Asking the question of okay, all right. So we have this story that Lucifer, the fallen angel, is all things that are evil, and is the one to be resisted and is only evil. But you started telling a story that no, this is a seraphim from the seventh dimension that actually enabled creation.
Yeah.
So it's a very it's a flip. So, but I just want to go through that one more time.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
it's because my mind is so conditioned by the world that we live in.
It happened, yeah.
That like it was like, whoa. I didn't. So explain that again. What happened in the seventh dimension and what this being, that they call Satan or Lucifer, what that being actually did, and then why was it that the stories of the Christians made that thing evil?
Well, it's like, let's say, like, imagine that in the eighth dimension or eighth dimension, there is God, this Lord of a house, that has many kids living in the same house, and they are running out of room, and but there are kids born in every time because the mother matrix, it's very fertile. So there are many kids, but the house is always the same. There were 7 rooms, but now there are like 12 kids, and they are all sharing beds and chaotic. So there was one of them, Samael, that said, what if we make the house bigger? What if we create something different so we could all live in a different way? So in the 7th dimension, they are the happy family where they all sit around the table and they said, we love so much to each other that we doesn't care about the space we have.
Yeah.
Okay? So there was one in the table that said, I care. I care about because I need my space. I have too much power inside and I'm sharing this space with people that is not allowing me to grow. So God said, okay, what would you do? And he said, well, I would get rid of that wall. I would throw that away. If you give me a hammer, I will destroy it. I don't care. And I will create another room. So he created another room. But the other says, I want another one. I want my own room. So he started to break all the walls to make the house bigger. And then they had kids and family. So they had to do the same thing. So the family grew and the universe grew, of course, into fractal, tiny fractals.
So in a way, that being that was the one who ultimately led to polarity. Right? Because polarity was necessary to create it took the unity of the happy family and brought it all the way into the fractal, perspectives that we see now and all of the world that we have now, but it created polarity. And so maybe is that why it was attributed with evil? Because it took the one unified family of the divine and broke it into and divided the family.
But what people doesn't realize is that there are more families because of that.
Yeah. But it makes sense. It makes sense to me now. It's because you take something that was just just this pure, like love, pure, like you said, I love your metaphor, like one family unified completely, but it was stable. It was kind of stuck, and then just goes boom. No, we're going to have everything, but as part of everything, there's going to be bad shit too, because that's the necessity.
What happened, I don't know if it happens to you, but usually you grow in your life when you have a crisis,
Of course.
when something breaks, when something falls apart, and you realize, oh, it's because of that break, that broken relations, that now I have the opportunity to live something different, something transcendental. And maybe you are living this happy life now because you had many breaks before.
Of course.
So every crisis is an opportunity, they say in China, isn't it? Well, that's how the universe is. The crisis of the fallen angel was the one that allowed the universe to create what we enjoy now. There are many stories like this in history, like horrible things that happened that made possible to something greater, like something amazing.
All right. Well, that was a mind-blowing exploration of the universe. But I guess the big message is our possibilities are incredible and vast, and things that we think are impossible are actually possible. But follow your love, your passion, your genius, what you're really drawn to, and just open your mind to the possibility of what you can create. Well, thank you so much. This is a beautiful, enlightening podcast, and just thank you for sharing this as your second job. First job being a portal. We'll talk about that at some point, but your second job's pretty great too. I appreciate you teaching and
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for listening. Much love. Goodbye.